All right, crypto fans, buckle up. We're diving deep into 2025.
Yeah, things are getting wild out there.
That's an understatement.
Not.
Our source material today is an Unchained YouTube episode featuring Mark Zeller, the founder of FA.
And Kane War, the founder of Infinex. These guys are dropping some serious knowledge.
We're talking major trends, the Ethereum versus everyone else battle.
And yeah, maybe even figuring out where that smart money's betting.
The thing that really jumped out at me was the politics of it all.
Right. It's not just about tech anymore.
Both Mark and Kane said 2024 was a turning point.
The crypto community got organized.
And started throwing its weight around politically.
Big time. For a long time, crypto was this fringe thing.
That the establishment could just ignore.
Exactly. But now it's too big to ignore.
Kane even called out some specific enemies.
People he sees as actively trying to hold crypto back.
He used this phrase, Operation Choke Point 2.0.
Which honestly sounds a little conspiracy theory-ish.
Right, like something out of a cyberpunk novel.
But it's actually a reference to a real thing that happened back in the early 2010s.
What was Operation Choke Point 1.0?
Basically, the U.S. government pressured banks to cut off services to businesses they didn't like.
What kind of businesses?
Things like payday lenders and gun shops.
Interesting. So the worry is that they're going to try to pull the same move on crypto businesses.
Exactly. Using regulations to make it impossible for them to access banking services.
Wow, so it's like weaponizing the financial system.
Pretty much. And the concern is that it's already happening.
So it's no wonder the crypto community is getting political.
They're fighting for survival.
And it sounds like they're having some wins, too.
Yeah, Kane pointed to some key elections in 2024 where crypto advocates actually made a difference.
So they're a force to be reckoned with.
No doubt. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about the tech side of things.
Okay, AI agents seem to be all the rage these days.
Truth Terminal AI-16s.
Platforms like Virtuals are making it super easy to launch these things.
Are we in the middle of AI hype, or is this the real deal?
Well, Mark seemed a little cautious.
He definitely sees the potential.
But he also warned about the dangers of moving too fast.
He said a lot of the AI agents out there right now are what he called low quality.
Meaning?
Basically, not very good or reliable.
He was especially worried about DAOs handing over too much power to these AI agents.
Right, like letting them manage investments without proper oversight.
He even used the phrase AI market meltdown.
Which is a pretty scary thought.
Yeah, imagine a bunch of DAOs going belly up because their AI agents made some bad trades.
So proceed with caution.
But Kane made an interesting point about how AI agents are lowering the barriers to entry.
Just like Pump Fund made it easy for anyone to launch a token.
These AI agents could empower people to build and manage their own crypto projects.
Even if they don't have a ton of technical expertise.
So it's a double-edged sword.
More opportunities, but also more potential for things to go wrong.
This actually ties into another trend they talked about.
Decentralized funding platforms.
Like Echo Biddle Legion.
Sounds like the ITO model is making a comeback.
But in a more sophisticated way.
They're incorporating better incentive mechanisms.
Using community curation to weed out the bad projects.
And investors are buying in.
Mega ETH sold out in under a minute on Echo.
So something's definitely shifting.
It's like the ICO model went through rehab and came out stronger.
Mark said raising funds on chain just makes more sense now.
The industry is more mature.
Back in 2017, it was all hype and promises.
Now you've got projects with real products and revenue streams.
Makes sense to raise money on the same platform where your business operates.
Okay, so we've got AI agents, new funding models.
The whole crypto landscape is evolving.
But what about the OG Ethereum?
Right, because in the midst of all this innovation,
Solana is nipping at its heels.
2024 was a big year for Solana.
They outperformed Ethereum in price.
Attracted a ton of new developers.
Became a hub for everything from meme coins to those AI agents we were just talking about.
It's the Solana surge.
Did Mark seem threatened?
Surprisingly, no. He was pretty pragmatic about it.
He acknowledged Solana's achievements, but pointed out that it hasn't made a dent in DeFi or lending.
Which is where AV operates.
He even said that if deploying a HAB on Solana made financial sense, he'd do it in a heartbeat.
I love that quote.
Yeah.
He said, if Solana was a profitable endeavor for the AV protocol, I will publish tomorrow on the AV forum. Okay, let's deploy there.
No loyalty to Ethereum, just making decisions based on what's best for the business.
And Kane had a more philosophical take. He sees Solana's rise as part of a natural cycle.
We've seen this before with Avalanche and BSC.
New challengers emerge, push the boundaries, force the old guard to adapt.
So maybe competition is good for the ecosystem.
Keeps everyone on their toes.
Drives innovation.
But it also creates a lot of uncertainty.
especially for people who are heavily invested in Ethereum.
Speaking of uncertainty, let's talk about Ethereum's awkward phase.
The anxieties and internal
It's
struggles,
like Ethereum is going through puberty,
growing pains,
lots of drama.
like the whole week in Ethereum controversy.
What happened there?
Well, Evan Van Ness, the guy who ran the Week in Ethereum newsletter,
Oh, yeah.
he announced he was shutting it down
Why?
because the Ethereum Foundation cut off his funding,
Wow.
and people went nuts,
Accusing the foundation of being secretive about its funding decisions,
lacking transparency.
not communicating with the community,
It turned into this huge debate about the role of the foundation.
whether they're actually serving the needs of the Ethereum ecosystem.
It was a PR disaster.
And Mark revealed that he'd spoken to someone inside the foundation.
Who described a deep PTSD from past run-ins with regulators,
So they're afraid to make a move.
afraid of attracting unwanted attention.
But Kane wasn't having any of it.
He called out their philosophy of subtraction,
Said they need to be more proactive.
more aggressive in pushing Ethereum forward.
He even said Ethereum needs a wartime CEO.
Wow. Strong words.
Someone who's willing to take risks and make bold decisions.
So there's a tension brewing between the Ethereum Foundation and a big chunk of the community,
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
for sure. And this brings us to a crucial question.
Can Ethereum overcome these hurdles and deliver on its modular thesis?
Before it loses too much ground to Solana,
That's the big question.
and we'll dig into that more in part 2 of our deep dive. Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah, Ethereum's modular future. But before we get into that, let's talk about the Solana Saga phone.
Right, the hardware play,
Everyone's hoping this is going to be the thing that finally brings crypto to the masses.
it's a bold bet for sure.
Bypassing Apple and Google, building their own hardware ecosystem.
Yeah, trying to create a crypto-native experience from the ground up.
I'm a little skeptical, though.
I get it.
Yeah.
We've seen these crypto phone attempts before.
They never really go anywhere.
Building hardware is tough. It's not just about the tech.
Right. Manufacturing, distribution, marketing.
All the things Apple and Google are really good at.
And even if they manage to build a decent phone...
How do they convince people to switch?
Exactly. Most people are perfectly happy with their iPhones and Androids.
Well, that's where things like secure enclaves come in.
Okay, so if they can make a phone that's way more secure for managing your crypto,
That could be a selling point for some people.
I guess so.
Mm.
Especially for the crypto diehards who are really worried about security.
But for the average person, I think convenience still wins.
Yeah. I'm not sure most people are willing to sacrifice all the apps and features they're used to.
That's why Kane thinks mass consumer demand is the key.
He believes that once enough people want to use crypto on their phones.
Apple and Google will have to figure out a way to make it happen.
He brought up the example of passkeys.
Right, they're becoming more common for passwordless logins.
And they use the same kind of cryptography that underpins cryptocurrencies.
So you could imagine a future where passkeys are used to store your private keys.
And interact with decentralized applications on your phone?
That would be a game changer.
No more hardware wallets or seed phrases.
Just seamless integration with your existing devices.
But would Apple and Google really go for that?
It would mean giving up some control over their ecosystems.
And potentially even their payment systems.
It would be a big shift for sure.
But like Kane said, consumer demand is a powerful force.
If people want it badly enough.
These companies will find a way to make it happen.
They've done it before with other disruptive technologies.
It's a fascinating dynamic to watch.
The intersection of tech, power structures,
Mm-hmm.
and consumer behavior.
Okay, so hardware is a big piece of the puzzle. But let's go back to Kane's prediction about on-chain applications taking over.
Right. He thinks they're going to surpass centralized platforms in terms of user experience and utility.
By 2025, no less.
A bold claim.
What makes him so confident?
Well, he says the technology has finally caught up.
On-chain applications can now offer the same level of user-friendliness as centralized platforms.
No more clunky interfaces or confusing steps
Just smooth, intuitive experiences.
that anyone can understand.
Okay, so that's one factor. What's the other?
He believes people are craving more transparency and control.
Something that centralized platforms can't really offer.
Right, they're black boxes. You have to trust that they're doing the right thing.
And with all the hacks and scandals we've seen in crypto,
That trust is eroding.
makes sense. So on-chain applications could step in and provide a more trustworthy alternative.
That's the bet Kane is making.
He thinks we'll see a mass migration of users and transactions from centralized platforms to decentralized ones.
In 2025.
But Mark seemed less convinced.
Yeah, he acknowledged the progress,
But he also pointed out that there are still some big challenges.
especially when it comes to user experience and scalability.
He said most people are used to the slick interfaces of centralized platforms.
Getting them to switch to something that's more complex and technical,
It's not going to be easy.
it's like the difference between ordering takeout and cooking a gourmet meal.
One is quick and easy, the other takes more effort and skill.
And then there's the issue of scalability.
Can Ethereum actually handle the volume of transactions needed for a global financial system?
That's the big question.
It's why there's so much focus on layer 2 solutions.
Like optimism and Arbitrum.
They're supposed to increase transaction throughput without sacrificing security.
But can they deliver the same user experience as centralized platforms?
That's the million-dollar question.
And no one really knows the answer yet.
So it's a race against time.
Centralized platforms are already well established and easy to use.
While on-chain applications are still evolving.
It's the classic battle between the incumbent and the disruptor.
And it's too early to say who's going to win. Wow, this has been a lot to process.
That's covered a lot of ground.
Political battles, AI agents, Solana, Ethereum,
And it sounds like things are only going to get more intense.
as we head into the second half of the decade.
Absolutely.
So in part 3 of our deep dive,
We'll explore some of the potential tipping points.
that could reshape the crypto landscape in the coming years. Okay, so we've talked about the political landscape, the AI explosion, the rise of Solana, and all the drama surrounding Ethereum. It feels like crypto is at a crossroads.
It is. It really is. There are so many potential paths it could take from here.
We've discussed this idea of on-chain applications going mainstream, but honestly, it still feels like a long shot.
Yeah, it's a bold prediction. But remember, crypto is still a young technology.
True, but the internet had a clear value proposition from the start. It connected people and information in a way that was never possible before.
Right, it was revolutionary.
So what's crypto's killer app? What's going to make it indispensable for the average person?
That's the million-dollar question. And I don't think there's a single answer. It's going to be a combination of things that come together to create that tipping point.
Okay, so what are some of those things? What could push crypto over the edge into the mainstream?
Well, we've already touched on a few. More user-friendly on-chain applications, the demand for transparency and control, new hardware like the Solana Saga phone.
Right, but those are all things happening within the crypto bubble. What about external factors? Could something happen outside of crypto that suddenly makes it more appealing or even necessary?
Absolutely. For example, imagine a major financial crisis
Or a government cracking down on personal freedoms.
or hyperinflation running rampant.
Suddenly, the idea of a decentralized, censorship-resistant financial system starts to look pretty good.
It becomes a safe haven, a way to protect yourself from the instability of the traditional system.
Not just for individuals either.
Right. We could see businesses, even governments, starting to use crypto as a hedge against risk.
That would be huge. But let's play devil's advocate for a minute. What could prevent crypto from reaching that tipping point? What are the biggest threats?
Regulation is a big one. We've already seen governments around the world trying to rein in crypto
Yeah, if those regulations become too strict, it could stifle innovation.
and make people afraid to use it
There's always the fear that governments could try to ban crypto altogether.
if they see it as a threat.
Another risk is that the technology itself could hit a wall.
What if we can't solve the scalability problem? Or what if there's a massive security breach that destroys confidence in the whole system?
Those are valid concerns. And then there's the human factor.
Greed, fear, misinformation.
We've seen how bubbles and scams can damage the reputation of the entire industry.
It's a balancing act. You need enough hype and speculation to drive investment,
But too much hype can lead to unrealistic expectations.
and ultimately disappointment.
So the future of crypto is still very uncertain. There are so many possibilities.
It's what makes it so exciting. We're witnessing the birth of a new technology that could change everything.
It's a grand experiment, and we're all part of it.
Exactly.
Well, this has been an incredible journey. I want to thank you, our listeners, for joining us on this deep dive into the crypto world of 2025.
We've covered a lot of ground. But hopefully you've come away with a better understanding of the forces that are shaping crypto,
The potential it holds.
the challenges it faces.
Now, as we wrap things up, we want to leave you with one final thought. We've talked about this tipping point where crypto could go mainstream. But what does that actually mean for you?
How would your life change if crypto became a part of everyday life? Would you embrace it? Would you resist it? Or would you try to ignore it?
These are big questions, and there are no easy answers, but they're worth thinking about. Because the future of crypto is being written right now, And we all have a role to play in shaping that future.
So keep learning, keep questioning, keep exploring, and until next time, remember, the future is decentralized.
And it's going to be wild.